Hi everyone, welcome back. Great to see you. Thanks for being here. Y'all, my name is Ambi. I'm a non-binary makeup collector and beauty enthusiast. And thanks for being here. Really appreciate you stopping by. I'm filming in a new part of my home this evening because it's pretty late at night and I want to disturb as few neighbors as possible, so I'm going to try to keep it down, but I'm feeling good. I've got some great stuff to share with you. Thought it would be fun to share some of my recommendations for holiday makeup items that you can incorporate into your looks when you're going to a holiday get-together or an event. And any holiday, there are many holidays that are happening this month, and I hope whichever holiday or holidays you are celebrating, that you have a great one. And let's look at some makeup. But before I do that, so last week was Thanksgiving here in the US, so happy belated Thanksgiving. And I traveled to visit my family, and I had a wonderful visit, but my parents do not have internet in their house. My parents do not have any internet in their house. There is no connectivity in this place. They live on a farm in the middle of nowhere, and I have horrible cell phone reception when I'm up there. So I felt really disconnected from everything, but it did give me some time to kind of think about my channel here and what I'm working on. And I realized that I'm used to being in front of the camera a lot because for my job, I do a lot of filming, I do a lot of online lectures and, live webinars and things like that. And so most of the time when I'm filming myself, when I'm talking to a camera, I'm usually in professional mode. And I'm being, serious and somber, and I'm talking about academic topics. And I think that some of that was kind of coming into my YouTube videos. So I want to really try to take it easier and be a little bit more laid back on my channel. So I'm going to really work on that, and hopefully more of my personality will come through, and hopefully you can sense my enthusiasm for this topic. And sorry, I keep messing with my hair. It's still a little bit damp and it's kind of driving me nuts. Let's look at some makeup. So yeah, I have everything spread out here on the counter. Didn't really organize it very well, but let's start with eyes, because I have a lot of eyeshadows up here. And the first one, so these are not all new items. Some of them are older, some of them are new, and this one is a new one. I think if you have not seen this palette yet, you must live under a rock, because this is the Anastasia Midi Retro palette, and it's so beautiful. And the reason I think this is perfect for holidays is because it has so many beautiful, like cranberry and mauve and purple tones that I think can create a really seasonal look, particularly if you're going to some kind of Christmas event. But there are also a lot of really beautiful shimmers in this palette that can really make it glitzy and glamorous. I think this would be a great New Year's palette. It kind of has it all. Another thing that it has, though, is kind of a steep price tag. So I thought I would suggest a more affordable alternative, which is what I'm wearing right now. And that is the Flower Beauty Petal Play Shadow Quad in Barrymore. So Flower Beauty, this is Drew Barrymore's brand. I love Drew Barrymore. She and I have the same birthday. We're both amazing Pisces people. And her brand is really great. It means these shadows are really nice. And the shimmers are really nice. The mattes are easy to blend, but the shimmers in particular are incredibly creamy. And when you apply them with your finger, it's just really, it feels really nice. They're really nice. So I'll show you side by side so you can get a sense of how similar these palettes are. I'm not saying that it's a dupe. I'm not saying that at all. But what I do believe is that you can get a similar vibe with this palette that you can create with some of the shades in this one for a fraction of the price, because the Flower Beauty palette on their website is only $11. So I think that's a pretty good deal there. Let's see, next we have another new palette. This is the Charlotte Tilbury big holiday palette for this year's. The Instant Eye palette, and Smoky Eyes Are Forever. And if you have seen any of my other videos, you're probably not surprised that this one makes an appearance here, because I really, really love this palette. That Charlotte Tilbury makes some of the best eyeshadows on the market, as far as I'm concerned. The mattes are super blendable and creamy. Her shimmer formulas are absolutely outstanding. There's nothing else like it. These shimmers, you can apply all over your eyelid. You can put them in the crease. You can put them wherever you want, and they're going to blend out beautifully, regardless of your age, regardless of any texture on your skin. I'm telling you, these shimmers are second to none. They're just amazing. And you can see there's some really beautiful color stories happening in this palette, and they're divided really easily, so you can mix and match to make something unique, or you can just play with one of the trios here that are already put together. I have used every shade in this palette, and I love every shade in this palette. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Let's look at one that's a little bit older. So I pulled out my Anastasia Beverly Hills Sultry palette. There we go. Now you can see my face and the eyeshadow at the same time. I finally figured it out. All right. So the Sultry palette, this is a palette that came out a few years ago. And when it came out, we were kind of on the cusp of moving from a trend of extremely warm shadow stories. And when people saw this palette, a lot of people found it very refreshing, because it wasn't just a bunch of orange, really, really warm toned shadows. And it is so beautiful. So if you have it in your collection, reminder, pull it out this holiday season, because it's just exquisite. And I really love the Anastasia formula. I know that there are mixed opinions about it out there. I love it. I love the shimmers in this palette in particular. I think are some of the best that they ever made. Now, here's the thing about this palette though. This was a limited edition palette, and so it is harder to find it now. One of the main places you would probably find it would be like TJ Maxx or Marshall's, you know, that sort of thing. But the good news is there's another palette that has very, very similar vibes, and I dare say some shades that are quite similar, almost to the point of being dupes as far as the shades themselves. And that's the Nabla Side by Side palette. I'll show you, and I'll put them together in just a second so you can see. But this is the Nabla. It has more shades than the Sultry palette. And the color story is not identical, not at all, but there are really, really similar vibes here. Let me open it up. Here we go. Let's see. So here you can see these two palettes together. They both have these cool tone brown shades. They both have gray. They both have a nice silver metallic. I think the metallics in the Sultry palette are much better. I love the Anastasia formula. I am not a huge fan of the Nabla formula personally, but I know that a lot of people swear by Nabla. A lot of people really love this formula. I don't know why. For me, it's just not my favorite personally. But I think the side-by-side palette is still available. You can still purchase it. I have it linked down below with everything else that's available. And I think if you're kind of regretting that if you missed out on the Sultry palette, you'll like this one. You'll be able to achieve some similar looks for sure. Oops, kind of shook you up there, sorry. Next I have another one that will come as no surprise, and that is the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette, which is her new holiday palette for this year. Sorry, there's so much happening here. Wait a minute. There we go. Okay, much better, much better. I'm still learning. We got this. So this palette is so breathtakingly beautiful. It's unlike anything that I have in my collection of, what, 93 palettes or whatever. The formulas here are gorgeous. You might be able to hear my dog moving around. He's taking a little nap right now. So some really gorgeous things happening here. This shade here, this, I think it's called Lovestone. Yes. Is the one that some people really don't care for. I actually like it quite a bit. In fact, I used it as a highlight the other day on my cheeks and it looked really, really beautiful. It does crease a lot when you apply it on the lid. So that's something to be aware of, but it gives you a really nice finish. And hopefully you can see some of these gorgeous shimmers picking up. Beautiful, beautiful formulas. And let's see, I think I have only one more. Oh no, man, I have two more eye palettes. Gosh, I love eyeshadow palettes. What can I say? This is one of my very favorite eyeshadow palettes. I believe it came out this year. But it's one of my favorites in my entire collection. It's the Pat McGrath Venus in Fleurs Luxe Quad Voyeuristic Vixen. Who doesn't like a voyeuristic vixen? I don't know. Anyway, here we are. It is the most gorgeous eyeshadow palette like ever. It has these really gorgeous glittery shades. You can see this one is kind of a duochrome. I'm trying to pick it up here. Sorry, I'm looking at the monitor so much, but I really want to show that off. This palette is still available on the Pat McGrath website. It is not cheap, but it is extremely high quality. It is, I think, a seasonless, timeless sort of palette. And if you're familiar with Pat McGrath's eyeshadow formulas, you know, they're just absolutely exquisite. I mean, I keep praising all of these things, but that's why they're here, because I think they're some of the best. Now, finally, if you're into more of a jewel tone palette, I would recommend this new Viseart. This is the Bijou Jet, I believe. I don't really know much about the French language, but I think that's how it's pronounced. And this palette, as you can see, is very colorful, has these gorgeous jewel tones, and the Viseart formula is one I think is really underrated. And if you haven't given them a try yet, they have so many gorgeous palettes to choose from. In fact, they just came out with some new quads, which they call Petit Fours. Adorable name. And they're all really pretty, so you can't go wrong with Viseart, in my opinion. I think they really make some incredible products. Moving on from eyeshadows, let's look at some face products. I picked out two of my all-time favorite highlighters that are both still available on the Pat McGrath website. This is the Skin Fetish Ultra Glow Highlighter in Divine Rose. There we go. You can see it's very, very reflective. It's a baked formula. It's got this pink gold sort of effect. I do have it on. You can kind of see. I really love this highlighter because of it being a baked formula. It goes on very, very smoothly. It does not, it doesn't emphasize texture on my skin, and it provides this really beautiful glow. You can make this pretty subtle if you like, but you can also build it up very nicely. Now I have on two highlighters right now, I will tell you that, but I can definitely recognize this one. I brought it down a little bit lower than the other one. It's such a gorgeous, gorgeous formula. Unfortunately, I dropped it, and when I went to grab it, I scratched it with my fingernail. That's why it has this horrible indentation there, but it's beautiful. I wish she would make more of these and give us some more colors in this formula, because it's, oof, I would buy them all, because I dare say, look, I love highlighters. I love highlighters. Probably one of my favorite things to put on my face. And I think this is probably my very favorite. probably my very, very favorite. But a close second is also Pat McGrath. The other one that I'm wearing today is the Divine Glow highlighter in Golden Nectar. This is the one that came out at the same time as the Voyeuristic Vixen quad that we just looked at. So it came out this spring, I believe. So you can see it does have kind of this, again, it has kind of a pinkish hue, but it is more golden, pinkish hue. If you're a Seinfeld fan, yeah, you know what I'm referencing there. But anyway, if you're not a Seinfeld fan, why? Why aren't you a Seinfeld fan? It's on Netflix, please. Do yourself a favor. Anyway, back to Golden Nectar here. Absolutely gorgeous. It is not the same formula as the one I just showed you. I've heard some people say that it's the same formula, but it's not. This is not the same. You can even tell just by looking at it, it's not the same. The one that I just showed you, the Divine Rose, it does not have any fallout. It's that baked formula, nothing like that. But this one, you can clearly see there is a little bit of kick up, I guess I should say, around the pan. I don't care about this, not a problem. I'm just saying this to illustrate they're not the same formula. However, they're both absolutely exquisite. This one I think is a little bit more dramatic. It definitely is a little bit more, I mean, they're just a gorgeous combo. This one, it's not glittery, but it's more shimmery than the one that we just looked at. Now, the Pat McGrath highlighters are not inexpensive. They are an investment. Do I think they're worth the investment? For me personally, and the amount of money that I'm willing to spend on my makeup, yes. To me, they're worth the investment. But I have some drugstore highlighters that I like just as much. And those highlighters are actually made by Wet n Wild. I have two Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlighters. This particular one is in Blossom Glow. The other one I have was a limited edition one, so I decided not to bring it out here because I know it's not available anymore. I have mentioned these before in my videos, but I'll keep mentioning them because they're so good. And I think this highlighter costs like $3. I mean, it's super cheap, super inexpensive, performs beautifully. It doesn't perform, I mean, well, let me rephrase. I don't think that the Pat McGrath highlighters perform better than this. I think this is on the same level as my Pat McGrath highlighters. So my favorite highlighters are my Pat McGrath and then the two Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlighters that I have. Can't go wrong with them. If you really want to stand out, you want the light to like hit you from across the room when you're at this holiday party and people are gonna notice that gorgeous face. You can definitely achieve that with just a few bucks with a Wet n Wild highlighter. I'm telling you, don't sleep on these. They're incredible. Like I said, everything's linked down below so you can check them out. Now let's look at some lips. Oh no, I think I left one of my lip products in at my makeup desk. I did. So the lipstick that I'm wearing today is Charlotte Tilbury Superstar Lips, which comes in, I mean, I don't know how to describe it other than to say it's a skinny tube. You've probably seen them if you're familiar with her line. The Superstar lips have the feel of a balm. I mean, they're quite comfortable to wear. They have a nice glossy finish that I really like, but they last like a lipstick. They, I think, are some of the best lipsticks that she makes, and I hope that she'll continue to make them and maybe even add some more shades to choose from. I have 4 of them in my collection right now, and I want more, Charlotte. I really want some more because they're really, really beautiful. And again, something that I think is worth the investment. However, if the Charlotte Tilbury is out of your price range or you're just not interested in that particular lipstick, there is a drugstore alternative that I can suggest. And I'm not, again, I'm not saying that this product is a dupe for the Charlotte Superstar lips. Yes, that's what they're called. But the L'Oreal Color Riche Shine lipsticks, which I did remember to bring, are similar in the feel. Although I think the texture of the Charlotte Tilbury is superior. the feel, the creaminess of the Charlotte Tilbury is superior to this, but this one is still very, very nice, very comfortable to wear, has that same glossy finish, but it doesn't last as long, and I don't think you get quite as much color payoff as you do with the Superstar lips. But the Color Riche Shine lipsticks, I have 3 of them. I love all 3 of them. They're very, very comfortable to wear, and if you're in the market for kind of a glossy type of lipstick, I think you can't go wrong with those. I mean, they're really, really nice. And last but not least, I picked out a gloss because we're here in the holiday season. Everybody's thinking about red lips and classic style like that. So I decided to pick out my favorite red lip product in my collection. And that is actually the NYX Butter Gloss in the shade Red Velvet. And oh my gosh, whoops, my bad. So what you see here, as red as it looks in the tube, that's as red as it is when it goes on. It is extremely pigmented. It is, sorry, Tim is moving around in his bed over there. Extremely pigmented. It gives full coverage of your lips. It is so pretty. Very, very comfortable. If you've never used the NYX Butter Gloss, you are missing out, because these glosses, not only are they beautiful, the texture is very, very comfortable. They are not goopy. They are not stringy. You know what I mean. But they actually last really well. You know, it's still a lip gloss. I'm not saying that you're going to get 12-hour wear out of this thing, but I think you will be really pleased with how well the NYX Butter Glosses perform. And if you're looking for a red gloss that's actually red, I'm telling you, it is not see-through, it is not transparent. Actually, I'll swatch it. I gotta admit, I hate doing swatches, but for this, it's worth it because, I mean, look, are you serious? NYX Butter Gloss. Get it. You will be happy. You will say, thank you, Ambi. I'm so glad that you told me about the NYX Butter Glosses. I have 3 in my collection now, and I love them all. They are among my very, very favorite gloss formula. So those are all my recommendations for today. Tell me, what do you think? What are some of the things that you will be using for holiday events that you're going to? Let me know in the comments. Till next time, I'll see you on Instagram. Face Ambition. Take it easy.